or does she have a purpose? And what specifically is the purpose for this text? The purpose is going to be connected to the audience, right? Because there's a certain way we talk to certain people. We code switch a lot. So, who is she talking to? Is she talking to kindergartners? Her language would change if she were. The topic, what's the subject? What is it that she's even speaking about? And then the tone. What is the writer's attitude towards this piece? Okay, so without further ado, here we go. And let me make this a little higher. Okay, so Don't Peak in High School, an exclusive excerpt from writer and actress Mindy Kaling's book is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me and Other Concerns, written October 28th, 2011. Sometimes teenage girls ask me for advice about what they should be doing if they want a career like mine one day. There are basically two ways to get to where I am. One, learn a provocative dance and put it on YouTube. Two, convince your parents to move to Orlando and homeschool you until you get cast on a kids show, or do what I did, which is three, stay in school and be respectful and hardworking wallflower and go to an accredited non online university. Teenage girls, please don't worry about being super popular in high school or being the best actress in high school or the best athlete. Not only do people not care about any of that the second you graduate, but when you get older, if you reference your successes in high school too much, it actually makes you look kind of pitiful, like someone babbling old Tennessee Williams character with nothing else going on in her current life. What I've noticed is that almost no one who was a big star in high school is also a big star later in life. For us overlooked kids, it's so wonderfully fair. I was never the lead in a play. I don't think I went to a single party with alcohol in it. No one offered me pot. It wasn't until I was 16 that I even knew marijuana and pot were the same thing. I didn't even learn this from a cool friend. I gleaned it from a syndicated episode of 21 Jump Street. My parents didn't let me do social things on weeknights because weeknights were for homework and maybe an episode of The X Files if I was being a good kid. X Files was on Friday night. And on extremely rare occasions, I could watch Seinfeld, Thursday, a school night, if I had just aced my PSATs or something. It is easy to freak out as a sensitive teenager. I always felt I was missing out because of the way high school experience was dramatized in television and song. For every realistic my so-called life, there were 10 90210s or party of fives where a 20-something like Luke Perry was supposed to be just a typical guy at your high school. If Luke Perry had gone to my high school, everybody would have thought, what's the deal with this brooding greaser? Is he a narc? But that's who Hollywood put forth in as just as your dude in high school. In the genre of making you feel like you're not having an awesome American high school experience, The Worst Offender is actually a song, John Cougar Mellencamp's Jack and Diane. It's one of those songs like Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven that everyone knows all the words to without ever having chosen to learn them. I've seen people get incredibly pumped when this song comes on. I once witnessed a couple request it 4 times in a row at Johnny Rockets and belt it while loudly clapping their hands above their heads, so apparently it's an anthem of some people's youth. I think across America. As I type this, there are high school couples who strive to be like Jack and Diane from that song, just hanging out after school, making out at the Tasty Freeze, sneaking beers into their cars without a care in the world. Just two popular, idle, all American white kids having a blast. The world created in Jack and Diane is maybe okay, charming because, like, all right, that kid Jack is going to get shipped off to Vietnam, and there was going to be a whole part two of the story when he returned as some traumatized, delusioned vet. The song is only interesting to me as the dreamy first act to a much more interesting Born on the 4th of July type story. As it is, I guess I find Jack and Diane a little disgusting. As a child of immigrant professionals, I can't help but notice the wasteful frivolity of it all. Why are these kids not at home doing their homework? Why aren't they setting the table for dinner or helping around the house? Who allows their kids to hang out in parking lots? Isn't that loitering? I wish it was a song called Nguyen and Ari, a little ditty about a hardworking Vietnamese girl who helps her parents with the franchised Holiday Inn they run and does homework in the lobby, and Ari, a hardworking Jewish boy who does volunteer work at his grandmother's old age home, and they meet after school at Princeton Review. They help each other study for the SATs and different AP courses, and then, after months of studying and mountains of flashcards, they kiss chastely upon hearing the news that they both got into their top college choices. This is a song teens need to inadvertently memorize. Now, that's a song I'd request at Johnny Rockets. In high school, I had fun in my academic clubs, watching movies with my girlfriends, learning Latin, having long, protracted, unrequited crushes on older guys who didn't know me, and yes, hanging out with my family. I liked hanging out with my family. Later, when you're grown up, you'll realize you never get to hang out with your family. You pretty much have only 18 years to spend with them full time, and that's it. So, yeah, it all added up to a happy, memorable time even though I was never a star. Because I was largely overlooked at school, I watched everyone like an observant weirdo, not unlike Eugene Levy's character in Dr. Alan Pearl in Waiting for Guffman, who sat next to the class clown and studied him. But I did that with everyone. It has helped me so much as a writer. You have no idea. I just want ambitious teenagers to know, excuse me, I just want ambitious teenagers to know it's totally fine to be quiet, observant kids. Besides, being a delight to your parents, you will find you have plenty of time later to catch up. So many people I work with, famous actors, accomplished writers, were overlooked in high school. Be like Alan Pearl. Sit next to the class clown and study him. Then grow up, take everything you've learned, and get paid to be a real life clown unlike whatever unexciting thing the actual high school class clown is doing now. The chorus of Jack and Diane is, "Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone." Are you kidding me? The thrill of living was high school? Come on, Mr. Cougar Mellencamp, get a life. So that concludes the reading. I'm going to go, if you are ready to move on to your annotations and to answer the questions in Soapstone, please go ahead. If you want to go over it a little bit more in detail, you can continue watching. Otherwise, you can stop the video now. Okay. So we begin with, she says, teenage girls ask me for advice. So if teenage girls are asking her for advice, and she's about to give the advice, then who is she addressing? Who is her audience? And it's right there, right? Teenage girls. Okay. And she just gives a few things of like, here's the advice of how to have a career like mine. She gives a few examples. And then she tells them something that a lot of kids, not just teenage girls, but a lot of teens worry about, whether they admit it or don't like to admit it, about being popular in high school. Feels good to be liked, right? Feels good to have lots of friends and people knowing who you are. You get picked first for the teams and basketball. You get people want to be your group members. Probably not for the best reasons, but just for the fact that you're popular, especially with online media and clout and the little blue check mark and all these things. It puts a lot of pressure on teens to be popular. And so here comes Mindy Kaling, and she's like, I get it, right? Don't worry about that stuff though. Like, I know you want to be popular and I know it's important. You may not admit you want to be it, but it just seems so important in our world. Don't worry, because let me tell you what being popular doesn't get you in the future, right? What the successes that you'll see in the future. And then she goes on to talk about her own um, unpopularity, right, in high school. That she never had the lead in a play. She didn't even know what pot was. She saw it on 21 Jump Street. So dating herself a little bit with that show. I used to love that show with Johnny Depp. It was my favorite. And then once the new actor came, I stopped watching it because they took out Johnny Depp. Anyhow, so she's talking about how studying and education was important to her parents, and her parents had these strict rules, and she had to, follow her parents' rules. And never did she say she hated it. Remember that she says, like, I liked it. I enjoyed myself. I had a good time, right? There are other ways to have a good time, to enjoy your high school days without being this like popular kid that does bad things. Okay. So she's saying she was a sensitive teenager. In paragraph 4, they had these representations of what teenage life was about. And her parents are immigrants, right? So she's over here in the US, completely separated with experiences when her parents were her age, completely different experiences. And what she learns about teenage life and high school life is what she sees on the television. And it is so unrealistic. So that's what she's saying. Like, there's this one realistic show called My So Called Life. One. But for this one, there's so many others that just don't make any sense. This is not reality. Um, she goes on 5 about there's this song that really stood out. So on top of television, there's this song by John Cougar Mellencamp, and it's called Jack and Diane. And so she goes on explaining this song about um, a romantic, boyfriend girlfriend, these two teenagers, and how they do all these things. They drink and they make out and they do all these things, and then they peak in high school, and that's it, right? The best part of life is gone, so take advantage of it. And in the end, she's like, really? The best part of your entire life. So you have this long timeline, and the best part are these little years in high school? That's kind of sad. In fact, that's really sad. She says it's right, it's gross, it's disgusting. Grow up. Um, and so that's when she's coming back to the fact of like, hey, teenage girls, hey, audience, um, don't worry about if you don't have like the life or if you're not like others or those popular kids in high school, because honestly, that's not what life is all about. Um, and so then she goes on, how do you have a career like mine? Well, right, she talks about being a professional. Um, all the professionals she knew, they were kind of overlooked in high school. They were kind of nobody in high school, right? Don't peak means don't reach your potential in these years from 14 to 18 years old. That's sad. Your potential is going to be later on in life. You have a whole life to live. So, how do you reach that potential, right? Study, pay attention. In paragraph 9, she's talking about, man, I wish we had these more realistic shows or more realistic songs about actual teenage life and how to succeed after high school, how to have a productive and successful and happy adulthood. And she gives her own little imagined song about Nguyen and Ari. And then she talks about she had fun, right? She was in academic clubs. She had fun being smart. It wasn't anything that she was ashamed about. And she had fun with her family. And that caused her, being overlooked, being not the popular kid, caused her to be really observant. So she was the watcher, right? I always see some students in class that they just pay attention to everything. And I always think of like, wow, what's going on in their head? What are they thinking right now? Because I'm so interested in what their thoughts are. Because I see them, they watch everything. Think, wow, they know something that the rest of us don't know. Especially me, because I'm always talking and moving around everywhere. Um, so she's like, be that person. Be the person that observes and don't even feel bad about it. I'm going to tell you, also be the person that communicates and contributes and stuff. And you don't need popularity for that. Anyhow, so she ends up saying in the end, are you kidding me? Like, peaking in high school is the best you've got with this song and these ideas, these American ideas of high school and teenagers and popularity. That's pretty sad. And so she's like, listen, guys, there's shows out there, there's influences out there, right? You have all this social media, and it's all about like, wow, look at what you have, look who you are, look how popular you are. It's just like, don't even worry about that right now, because later on, you work hard right now, you work hard, follow your dreams, and you will have a way better life than what some of those kids are doing, peaking and being popular in high school. Okay, I hope that helps, and I will see you next time. Bye.